What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some r/entitled people. If you do want to get involved in today's stories, head on over to the r/entitled people subreddit. All the stories are pinned in the top comment below. I'm sure they would love your opinions too. A huge thank you for spending 20 minutes or so of your time listening to some stories. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, and let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, this first story was bringing me vibes of what's going on in my own life right now, and I'll share it after this story, so brace yourself. This one is from Jave3 Dragon. Woman lets her dog go after my horse, even after I was thrown from it because it's a herding dog. It's a beautiful day outside, birds are singing, flowers are blooming. On days like these, it's an absolutely perfect day for riding. It's the first non-raidy, no plans day this week, and I've been waiting to get back inside the saddle for a while now that winter is over. So me and my mum get our horses ready and head out. We live in the countryside, specifically Amish country, so horses are really common around here. My neighbour has horses. The neighbour on the other side actually sold us their horse when they moved because they couldn't take him. I even saw a lady riding down the street a couple of days ago. Point is, horses are not a rare sight, and these dogs should have been used to seeing them and known better. We were heading down the road and about to pass a house with a barn opposite when these two dogs came sprinting from the yard behind the house. One was, I believe, a black lab, and the other was a little Australian cattle dog. My mum managed to stop her horse in time and keep her calm, but I didn't have time to react before the cattle dog came biting at my horse's legs. Tinkerbell understandably panicked, which I do not blame her for, and I knew I couldn't hold on when she bolted, so I took my feet out the stirrups and pushed myself off into the grass so I couldn't go down on my own volition. Hit my head and landed on my shoulder. Thank God I was wearing a helmet. The headache and ache in my shoulder still haven't gone away, and I can't imagine how much worse it could have been. A lady came out of the house with her phone in her hand and half-heartedly called the dogs in. Thank fuck my horse didn't bolt down the road. She actually came back, and once I was off the ground, I took her reins and led her back next to the Jetta and my mum. The lab walked back up to the driveway closer to her house, but the cattle dog was still barking at me and Tinkerbell, and I'll be honest, I was about a second away from kicking this dog myself if my horse didn't get to it first. My mum asked her to call her dog back, and she said, "You pretty much just have to walk past her," completely ignoring the fact that I just went down and the dog was still going after us, barking and getting far closer to my horse than either of us were comfortable with. Again, she asked her to get her dog, and the woman said that she was a herding dog and that she couldn't do anything about it, calling her dog back one time, which it ignored, and then going back to her phone. The audacity of this woman to let her dog just go after my horse without doing anything to stop it because it's a herding dog, and telling us to go past the house when it's still going after my horse. A car had been coming down the road, and it turned into the driveway, so the dog moved out of the way back into the yard finally. I only got back on my horse after we were far away, and we had a nice 4-hour ride after that incident, though I wasn't interested in going much faster than a slow walk because of my headache. While our dogs do bark at horses going by, they do not charge them, and our little border collie knows well enough to not go nipping at a horse's heels. Please, for the love of God, if you're in a rural area like this and your dogs aren't used to horses, keep them on a leash or behind a fence, be it physical or electric. Edit, for those of you saying I should report her, I'm going to contact dog control officer for her town and see what can be done about the dog. Too many other horses on the road, and the dog's likely to get hit if she allows it to run into the street like that. Or get his head kicked off by the horse, I mean gee whiz. And people that have dogs and they let them off like the lead and they go running wild and they can't recall them or do anything like that, it drives me absolutely crazy. And this is the issue that I've been having. Those of you who have been here like time and time again, you'll know the situation that I inherited Poppy after my father passed away. And Poppy is a 7-year-old Shih Tzu. She's pretty skittish. She's never been around many dogs herself, and we always keep her on the lead. But I tell you what, if you want hassle in your life, get yourself a dog. If you want some drama in your life, get yourself a dog. Many people that we walk around absolutely love her, and they ask for permission to stroke her and things like that. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. But just be warned that she's a bit skittish. She won't bite or anything, but she's a very, very friendly dog, but she's very skittish. But anyway, I have a little story for you. Another one that happened just recently. My brother lives quite close to me and he's always known Poppy as well. And he wanted to take her out for a walk. And I was like, absolutely fine. If you want to take her for a walk, you go for it. You know, it saves me a job. Not that I dislike walking her, but that particular day, it was a big help. So he went out walking her, came back and told me this story of a French bulldog type dog that pinned Poppy to the floor by her back, and he had to pick up the dog, and it was off the lead, and the woman couldn't control it because she was over like about 100 meters or so away talking to her friend, not knowing what's going on, and eventually came running over, and apparently was really apologetic. But I had it. There's so many people around this area who let their dogs run wild off the lead, doing whatever the hell they want, and it drives me crazy, like I said before. So this time I had enough. I got my coat on, I told my brother to stay here, and I was off after this person. Not in an aggressive way, but I wanted to explain what they're doing to Poppy. Poppy is so nervous of people and dogs at the minute because this is like the 4th incident we've had in a month. Where she's been chased down or bowled over by other dogs who are off the lead. So I was walking and I knew the direction they were going, so I knew where I could cut them off. So I walked up this path to cut them off, and I saw them. I saw the back of them, and I was walking down this path. Ooh, here I was going. And you wouldn't believe it. The dog was off the lead again. And I stopped them because she was still talking to this woman. They must have been walking together. They both had dogs. And I said, excuse me. I said, your dog was just biting a Shih Tzu not too long ago, was it? And she was like, oh yeah. And she was really nervous. And I said, that's my dog. My brother was walking at the time. And I was really calm about it. And I said, look, you do realize that the almost like the trauma that's caused my dog from people. And I said, you're not the first person this has happened from. There's been 3 or 4 this month that's happened, and I'm just totally sick of it. I said, if you can't control your dog, please could you just put it on the lead? And again, she was apologizing, and I was feeling a bit bad because she was really, really apologetic. But I was sort of cross at the same time. You know, this incident happened like less than 20 minutes ago, and the dog was off the lead again, just doing what it wanted, and she was chatting, and the dog was over in the field doing whatever the hell it wanted, and it was really frustrating to see, but I had to say something. But there's a lot of dogs around this area. There's a lot of dog walkers. You're always guaranteed to meet at least between 5 and 10 dog walkers when you go out to take Poppy for a walk. So it's always a bit of a nerve-wracking experience at the minute, and it shouldn't be that, but I try to go different ways now. I try to vary our routes so we don't meet as many. And the ones we do, like occasionally we do meet a dog and it's super friendly, and the owner's like, do you mind if my dog meets yours? And you're like, yeah, it's like, hallelujah, thank you so much. There's some good dog walkers out here, and it just restores some faith in it all, you know? But anyway, I went totally off on one again. I do apologize. And we'll move on to another story. I will timestamp this. And our next story comes from Onion Person. Entitled customer tries to ruin my art career because I told him $100 is not enough to pay for his commission. I am doing art commissions, and sometimes I am meeting really awful people who are literally nothing but rude. This particular guy will probably stay in my memory forever. It all started with a job offer that I commented on. The client offered roughly $100 for a dozen or so complicated illustrations in a very specific style. It has something to do with traditional Oriental or Japanese, I'm not sure right now. I told him that this price is not enough to pay for such a big commission, and if he wanted to find someone, he mentioned in this post that he needed it done really fast, he should offer more money. Other artists wrote him similarly, but he got triggered on me specifically. Within an hour or two, my profile was flooded with offensive comments sent from his fake accounts. It was noticeable because of each of the accounts was created just a moment ago, and the names were very similar to each other. He claimed to be my former clients and that I had stolen money without giving the commission at all, and I was extremely rude to him. He even called me a psychopath. When other artists and my actual client started to defend me by leaving nice comments on my profile, he replied back to everyone saying it was just my spam accounts. Seriously, he thought that since he created a tons of fake accounts to slander me, I was going to do the same to fight him. He literally couldn't believe that my satisfied customer accounts weren't mine. He even claimed that all the people who defended me were just my gang. I started hiding his comments on my profile, but then they started popping up under all my submissions, claiming that I stole all the characters I drew for people as commissions. He didn't even try to make it look believable. He was just switching over and over between fake accounts and writing stolen, it's stolen too. At one point, his action looked so idiotic that no one was believing him. Everyone knew that this was some kind of madman who got on with me. But when that happened, he decided he had to take revenge on me for his humiliation. He started creating new fake accounts, but the names included my nickname and various insults such as fraud, psychopath, etc. It took about 3 days. Every day he tried to slander me in new ways. He pretended to be clients who complained about my job, lied that I stole his money, even pretended to be professional artists who came to call my work crap. Honestly, I envy him the energy put into it all. He had to write tons of comments and put up a lot of fake accounts just to finally humiliate himself. The funniest thing is that he insisted that I attacked him after he turned down my offer to work together because I wasn't good enough, which never actually happened. I was the one who told him that $100 was not enough to cover the costs. He also spread the link to his original post, claiming that's the one where I am attacking him. Our conversation there took literally 3 comments. Me saying that he should raise the payment a bit, him replying that I should just not leave a comment if I wasn't asked for it, and me saying bye. That was just proof of what a psycho I am. It's absolutely crazy the level some people go when they get offended by something, and it's something again which, you know, I've had experience with just recently in the last couple of months where people were emailing me and they set up accounts to, you know, target me and be rude to me. And you think, why are you doing this? And in some ways I appreciate the effort they go to, you know, it's like I always say, I'm living in your head rent free and I'm loving it. But you do question some people's sanity when they do this. But Parkinchess4244 says that was wow. The only thing I can say is wow. The dumbass went through that much effort just to slander your name because you asked for more money in exchange for a difficult job needed to be done in short time frame. Braincell1 says, hey, the artist is asking for more money. Should we give them money? It's a hard job anyways. Braincell2, nah, instead let's make some more spam accounts. Then there are other brain cells here and try and insult the artist. That'll do something. Braincell1 goes, okay. What I assume was happening in that person's head. You're right. I think there's a few too many brain cells there, my friend. But Alec Melton says, off topic-ish, but last night we had someone at my work spam call us repeatedly for half an hour. And just for 30 minutes I thought, imagine having the time to harass a pizza place for 30 minutes. So being willing to do that for 3 days, who would ever care enough? And it sounded a bit like that story yesterday where the guy was calling the call center for 3 hours to harass the person who was working there at the time, the dentist office or whatever that was. Yeah, man. And Otakachu says, I always tell my friends who are also art commissioners to stick to your guns and don't cave in. People are obviously jelly over awesome talent that they ain't got anything better to do. And one more from Carl Wiley saying, legally, what this dude is doing is called harassment and it is a crime, depending on your state and country. You may also have cyber harassment bullying laws in place that cover this specific scenario. It also occasionally falls under the umbrella of cyber stalking, especially in the US where there is no federal law against cyber harassment. Not saying you should file charges, but I doubt you're the only one who has put up with this from the same person. It is usually a pattern of behaviour, so you might consider notifying law enforcement. And now we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Josuk8. Why are you resting? Get me a fork. I work at a busy Japanese restaurant, and my co-workers had an encounter with a table full of entitled Karens consisting of an older woman and a bunch of middle-aged to young women. At this particular time it was relatively lively. I was busy handling orders in the kitchen while the hall staff were running around like headless chickens trying to take everyone's order. One of my co-workers starts to take Karen Table's order when they list off 20 or so items. He says, alright, give me a second while I input all this. Older Karen did not like this at all. No, do it now. Soon after receiving their order, they complained that the Lotus chips older Karen received were overcooked. Our Lotus chips typically are fried to hell to remove all the sweetness and moisture. We then keep them wrapped and in containers out in the front for easy service. They taste pretty good and are by no means overcooked, but whatever, I guess they gave them another batch of chips that were cooked the exact same way, and they didn't complain about it again. Once some empty dishes have piled up on their table, co-worker comes by with a tray to collect it. As he pulls up to the table, he's holding the tray in one hand with a lax wrist and is by no means ready to carry anything. Before he can properly support it so that he can grab things, 2 younger Karens dump their beer glasses on the tray. The tray is at an angle and isn't supported, so my co-worker quickly scrambles to make sure they don't fall. Things started to slow down, so one of my managers took her a break. She was relaxing on her phone when older Karen storms over. "Why are you resting? Get me a fork." I remember watching this happening. I didn't hear anything and I just figured everyone else was busy, so she asked her for help. Turns out I bore witness to Karen entitlement. Since my co-workers are mostly Japanese, where customer is always king, and despite living in a society where you can tell these people to fuck off, we had to leave them be and remain polite. There's a limit on their dining time, so the second it's up, they are told to leave. They get up to pay and then sit back down. They're asked to leave 3 more times to make way for more customers. They don't leave at all, then when it suits them, they finally leave. When a customer leaves, we bang on a small drum and say thank you. Needless to say, they didn't get this treatment. This kind of entitlement was just so pointless. And it's kind of a shame that you just have to grin and bear with this kind of entitlement as well, rather than just say, look, get out, you're not welcome here no more, we don't want you in our restaurant. Because that's the way it should be, rather than having to grin and bear it. And I bet you didn't get a positive review from these Karens or anything like that either, so you don't lose anything by just getting rid of these people. Wow. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Nightshade1144. Karen throws a fit in the parking lot and threatens a child because the vet is taking too long with her dog. A while back I posted in another community about a lady who paid for my emergency vet visit. This happened on the same day while I was waiting outside. I've been wanting to post this, but it was still emotional about the incident, but I'm finally here, obligatory on mobile. My cat needed to go to an emergency centre, and only one within 4 towns was open and accepting emergencies. This was also during COVID, so people were required to sit in their cars with their pets and wait to be called. I don't have a car. I was dropped off and sat outside the building for 7 hours until they took my cat. I got witness to everything from a front row seat. Said Karen was in a pickup truck, tiny dog in tow, parked in a handicap spot with no stickers or sign. I didn't think much of it, she was frantic and old. I figured she forgot her sign and or was borrowing the truck in a hurry. Rather than calling, she booked it straight to the door and started pounding on it. My stomach sank. I'd watched them put down 2 dogs by then and was already stressed and emotional. I was scared for her. The technician tells her to calm down and said that they were packed. It was an 8-hour wait, but they can check the dog's vitals every hour to make sure it wasn't critical. Lady agrees, taking him to the dog. I initially looked away, not wanting to see another bloodied or dying animal, but I heard him sigh and I had to look. He looked over the dog, a tiny thing wagging its tail and jumping, told her it was fine for now and explained their COVID protocol. She huffs, tries to argue with him, but he had to go, so he went back inside. Karen immediately turns to the few people outside her car and starts raising her voice about how bullshit this was, asking how long people were waiting. I don't think she saw me, but I knew then it was getting Karen-ish, so I sat, pet my cat through the carrier and watched. A couple hours pass, she's fuming in her car. Finally gets out and starts banging on the door. Same thing as before, technician comes out, checks the dog's vitals and explains it's fine right now and can wait. At some point, I can't recall when, they did actually take her dog. I didn't know because I didn't see, and she kept telling people they hadn't taken her dog. 7 hours of sitting later, they finally take my cat. My boyfriend finally got off work and came to wait with me because it was dark and getting really cold. I left without my jacket because I was in a rush. We're sitting in the car, he's telling me it's going to be okay, and suddenly we hear screaming. Looking over, and Karen got out of her car and was screaming at the top of her lungs at the car next to her. A couple of people from the emergency centre came out, and in a panic I opened the door to hear what was happening. The only thing I could make sense was the lady repeatedly screaming, "I hope your effing dog dies, I hope your effing dog dies," to the kid in the backseat of the car and calling her a bitch. My boyfriend and the girl's dad both get out to back off, telling her to shut up. Vet technicians bring her dog out and tell her to leave. She's screaming and cussing at everyone and pushes one of the technicians. They finally tell her to leave or they're calling the cops, and she just starts calling them murderers. Boyfriend and dad manage to push her away, and she gets in her car and pulls out, rolls her window down to scream a bit more and drives off. The kid in the car was just sobbing. Boyfriend and I asking if everything was okay and offered to walk over to the ice cream shop down the street. Girl didn't want to, she wanted to be there if her dog came out, which was understandable. Boyfriend had asked the dad what happened, and I guess Karen was ranting about how long it was taking, and the girl had rolled her window down and told her that it was busy. They're packed, but they're doing the best they can, and Karen lost her shit. It was an emotional roller coaster that day, but that had to have been the worst Karen I've ever witnessed, and I've worked in food and customer service for 6 years. I don't think I'll ever understand why people act this way. ETA, I walked down the road to get better service so I can upload cat tax. Ah, good kitty. And also my cat is now okay. She is on prescription diet, but other than that, things are good again. And that is always good news. And like you said in this story, I never understand how someone can just throw a fit in that way and act that way. It's just, my head can't deal with it. But what do you make of today's stories? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I love to hear what your thoughts are on these stories and listen to you talking to each other about them as well. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for doing you. If you want to support this channel further, you absolutely can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or clicking the link in the description for Patreon and join up there. It is super helpful to the channel, and and it keeps us going on and making things better as well. Hopefully expanding the channel in better ways very, very soon. Thank you so much for your love, support and time, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.